Welcome to the show, Gearheads.
Woo!
F1's back in action at Spa, and Max Verstappen coasted in a world of his own to the victory.
Don't give him a summer break next year.
Dave O'Neill has joined us, former Haas F1 team manager, and you just said, Dave, imagine how this race would have been had they not had grid penalties for Max. Oh, my gosh. He'd have been lapping the field. And that was Bob Varsha. Bob, what'd you think of the race?
Well, I think Martin Brundle said it best during the TV broadcast. Inevitable.
Yeah.
There was a lot of DRS passing and a lot of tire intrigue and yada yada yada. But the way Max Verstappen came through the field, the way Perez came through the field, great job by Carlos Sainz to hang on to that final podium spot. George Russell ran into some problems with his Mercedes because he was shutting Sainz down there at the end, but finally had to back out of it because his tires went away. You know, the race was a lot less eventful than I thought it would be. The first couple of laps provided us with some collisions that took out Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton. And Hamilton has to be ruining the fact that George Russell's race went so well. So that's another what if. What if Hamilton had stayed in that race? But I mean, Verstappen was just breathtaking in his domination of this field. I mean, it was inevitable that he would go to the front and disappear.
If you want to join the show, you can give us a call, 512-643-5483. Les Kaiser, how far down the alphabet was Ferrari in their plans today?
Gosh, I don't know. I heard McLaren was down to G. I think Ferrari just threw the Ouija board at it.
Dave, you had a funny comment about the McLaren Plan G. You think it was Ferrari? I mean, making fun of Ferrari or something like?
Yeah, maybe. You know, they got to D and
Gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no time for. Yeah. I figured that
We're
was.
going to have to switch to the Greek alphabet after a while. We were going to run out of. Yeah. But I mean, all jokes aside, I noticed, you all noticed, and my old colleague Steve Matchett, who's been in more pit lanes, he probably likes to think about, noticed when Ferrari talks to its drivers, they reveal everything. Okay, here's what we've got. You know, what are the options? What do you think you want to do? And they go back and forth with their drivers. You know, it's not. It reveals your plan. It reveals what your thought process is to everybody else on the pit lane, everybody around the world that hears these conversations. I just don't understand why they do it. Compare that to, you know, the McLarens of the world who say, okay, it's plan B, it's plan D, whatever it is. With Ferrari, it's like, okay, here's what we're thinking. What do you want to do? Maybe we don't want to do that. You know, on and on and on. It's really remarkable, and I'm really surprised by that.
Well, we're going to have Chris Medland join us with a microphone in Spa, seeing who we can get an interview with. But, Jonathan, you had a thought?
Yeah, I agree with Bob wholeheartedly. I mean, you know, what general in the army, you know, gathers his soldiers and says, okay, what would you like to do? I mean,
and then broadcasts it to the enemy across the trench.
Right. You know, there's no leadership. Hey, Charles, what would you like to do? It's like, what?
Question.
And would you like ketchup on that?
Yeah, no, come on, lead.
There's a great highlighted Twitter comment. I don't know who this is. It's a guy named Battery Voltas, and he says, you can't blame our strategist if we ask Charles to be the strategist.
But yeah.
Good point.
Exactly.
I remember.
Go ahead, Bob.
Well, go ahead. Well, I was just thinking of a NASCAR race many ago when Jimmy Johnson was driving around off the lead, and Chad Knaus got on the radio and started one of those, well, what do you want to do? And Johnson was just so frustrated and pissed off at that point. He said, I don't know. You're the crew chief. Tell me what we're going to do.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah. So,
and I was thinking about
Chad Knaus is really good.
Yeah. I was thinking about Leclerc's speeding penalty, right? What if, I mean, that was a really tight window they were trying to squeeze him into. What if they were telling them in his ears going, hey, this is going to be really, really tight, you know, turning up the stress, and he speeds in the pit lane. So it could have been their fault on that, too, on the strategists.
Hey, you know,
and that was an amazing 5-second penalty. I mean, there's a 22-second pit delta there, and a drive-through penalty, you know, would have should be a similar penalty for the crime, I would think.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, what do you think? We said at before we went to summer break that we really thought we'd see a strategist change at Ferrari.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's been totally silent as far as having any strategists.
Binotto was quoted and saying, we're not changing anything.
Right, saying we don't need to change anything. What?
Yeah.
So
Well-
are you watching the same season we are?
Not sure. Not only are we not on the same page, I'm not sure you're in the same book.
Yeah.
But with that, I'm going to say that maybe he has confidence in who he's got on there, but in the strategist circle. But I'm just thinking, okay, if they're that smart, get them to do something different amongst themselves, the people that are sitting there already.
Dave O'Neill, what'd you think of Alonso's comments about Hamilton after the crash?
Well, I think it's pure gold Alonso, isn't it? He's he gets straight in there, and there's obviously some history there, but I think Hamilton ended up taking the blame for it. I mean, I was I was thinking it was more Alonso. Hamilton was in front, but he was around the outside, so Hamilton took the blame for it, and that was that.
Yeah, comments on YouTube, some good ones. Doug, just talking about the same topic as speaking ready. Alonso was exactly right. Hamilton can't race unless he's up first. That was a move. That move was rookie caliber. Yeah.
Can I add?
Yeah.
Our colleague Sean Kelly saw that same tweet and pointed out that Lewis Hamilton has won more races, 42 to be precise, from some starting position other than up front than he has from that up front position. So make of that what you will, pal.
Yeah.
How many
Excellent.
races had that tweeter won?
Yeah.
Probably as many as me. Yeah.
What else? Doug's on YouTube says Danny Rick going backwards. Sad to see. Yeah, I think I think everybody would agree with that, except maybe handful, but yeah.
Well, Norris had a tough day too, though. So McLaren
that's
just
true.
didn't have the horse for the course.
No, you're right. Yep.
No points.
Just to run down this. Verstappen wins, of course, going away. Perez, Sainz, Russell, Alonso, Leclerc, Ocon, Vettel. Nice. Gasly, again, ninth. Albon up to 10th. Stroll, Norris, Tsunoda, Zhou Guanyu, Daniel Ricciardo, Magnussen, Schumacher, Latifi, and then Bottas and Hamilton out of the race.
So what you're saying is Dave O won with the Verstappen, Checo Perez prediction, although Ricciardo was nowhere to be found. The rest of us, we didn't count.
Hey, I'll take the fact that I called the winner. I always let you guys go first. I never get it, but I was like, Verstappen's. I mean, I said it in the pre-race show that Verstappen, in my mind, was the going away favorite and starting in 15th. So what does that tell you about where Red Bull is now, Jonathan? I mean,
I had
geez.
3 failures on mine, so.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
You were doing all heart, though.
Yeah.
You were,
Yeah,
Alonso
I was
Hamilton.
living on the heart.
Yeah.
Alonso, Ham, and Russell's what you said, Jonathan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Strategy, Jonathan.
Well,
Yeah, your strategy. Well, I
pointed out during
asked the
the
drivers
broadcast.
who wanted to win beforehand. I was doing my Ferrari.
Well, the announcers pointed out that very strangely, the betting odds, the bookies picked Verstappen to win, even though he's starting from 14th.
Wow.
The bookies had big odds against Verstappen doing anything but winning. And as they pointed out, the bookies are never wrong.
Yeah.
They always
But
win.
that is remarkable. For them to pick a guy that deep on the grid to win the race says something.
I hate to say it, the championship's over, boys.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's not a very precedent thing to say.
Yeah.
With 9 races to go and with Coda just around the corner, but the championship itself, this isn't Rosberg Hamilton anymore. This is a foregone conclusion the way he's driving, and actually, I say that with Coda coming up, I'm really looking forward to seeing a man absolutely in the height of his powers coming to Formula One in front of 400,000 people. I think he'll do the same at Zandvoort. He may or may not win there, but chances are he'll be pushed forward by that crowd. And let's celebrate what is a true new phenomena in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Michael Schumacher-esque.
Well, you
Yep.
can call the
And
season
Senna
over, but
before him.
you can call it
Mhm.
over, but you still have to come to work.
And like you say, the height of powers for Max Verstappen. What about the height of powers for Red Bull in general? That car.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Dave, you got to appreciate what they're doing as a former team manager.
Yeah, they've just nailed it, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've got on
Yeah.
with it, taking care of the engine side of things as well, and they have a platform that is just totally different to anything
Do they
else.
need 50% to be held up by Porsche?
Maybe
Yeah,
not.
well, that's
Yeah.
right. Who
That's a
needs
good
Porsche?
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, if you're looking for perfection, you need to be, the second driver needs to up his game a bit, I'd say.
Yeah.
On those side of things, he did finish second, but he's a country mile away from the guy who started 13 positions behind him.
I find it amazing how well sorted. I mean, everything. When I started looking at the details, when you saw those, visor cam videos and all these different onboard videos, Red Bull, everything about that car was so much smoother.
Mm.
Max was placing it right. There was essentially no drama. It was.
I watched his qualifying lap again yesterday
Oh, yeah.
afterwards, basically, as a repeat. And Anthony Davidson pointed out, look where Verstappen is and how close and comfortable he is to the lines coming in. He's a foot wider than a lot of people going into certain corners, and the ease at which he's going through them with no drama, no oversteer, no nothing. It's just planted, as he said. It was on rails. I jokingly said, yeah, he was on a monorail, but that's what it looked like. And I mean, that not even Senna in his day was picture perfect. There was always fighting the car. I mean, the car is, I think it's easy for Verstappen at the moment, and the car is that good.
I was watching that same segment with Davison walking through all these, and did you see the one where they showed screen side by side Verstappen and Perez?
Yes.
And taking that corner,
Yeah.
cutting so much more curve than Perez,
Mhm.
and ending up like almost a car length ahead after one corner.
Right.
Yeah.
Just stunning.
Well, I mean, Perez started in the perfect position to win this race, and he was shown the road. I mean, Perez is not slow.
I mean, I guess I was stating the obvious that Verstappen was in the pre-race that he was the clear favorite
Standout
because
favorite,
he
yeah.
is. It was just not even close.
Yeah, he played it down at the beginning, but that 7/10s came into its own.
Yeah.
There's no question.
Yeah, no doubt. But what about the rest of the grid, Bob? What else? I mean, Alonso is fun to watch today. What about Russell?
Definitely.
Another top five, again.
Yeah, Russell, as I said, Hamilton will look at Russell's performance and rue the day even more. He'd have felt better if Russell had finished, 9th or 12th or whatever, which is what Mercedes had every reason to expect after their poor qualifying. But no, I think Russell did a terrific job. I don't know if he's the complete guy when you compare him to the likes of the Verstappens and the Hamiltons. But yeah, he is a great driver and a great asset to the team. Alonso was great fun to watch. I was disappointed in McLaren, who are losing the battle to Alpine, who had both cars at the points. So that midfield battle may well be over with 8 races to go as well. Other than that, I think that finish rundown kind of shows the state of play right now.
Mhm.
Red Bull has moved away from the Ferraris and even the charging Mercedes at this point. Then you've got a midfield battle that's now separating, with Alpine up there for 4th, and the McLarens and AlphaTauris and so on falling further back. There may not be much change in the order, not the scores, but in the order of both championships, in my mind, for the rest of the season, based on what we saw today.
Going back to our discussions before the race, we were talking about driver moves and all the rest of it. The one thing that stands out to me is that Gasly, once again, puts himself in the box seat for a move. He's stuck at AlphaTauri. He can't really progress with Red Bull. So I think we should start thinking more in terms of who wants Gasly and does Gasly want to move, because he's fighting above the weight of that car, I think. And I think if you're looking at Alpine, which is the obvious place, he's got to be a serious contender because he keeps performing into the top 10.
God, there's so much to talk about. Just looking at the driver standings updated, Leclerc slips behind Perez now. Leclerc slips to third in the Drivers' Championship. Bob, I want to go back to something you said. You talk about a charging Mercedes when you were talking about Russell. But, coming into the weekend, everybody was saying, could this be a weekend when Mercedes is battling for a win or maybe getting a win? We're thinking, they've been making progress. But then all weekend, their race performance was way better than what we saw in qualifying. Hamilton was a second off the pace, and all weekend they looked slow. And so, Dave, okay, put your team manager on hat at Mercedes. They're not even close right now, really. If you look at the whole big picture, I guess. What do you do at this point?
Well, I think this circuit in particular is a power circuit, so maybe they had to take some pain here.
Yeah, okay, good point.
But the interesting bit about F1 is every venue is different, and how you gear up for it. So while they're not going to admit and say we're not going to do well here, behind the scenes they're probably taking the pain and getting on with it.
Listening to Hamilton, you'd think that after qualifying, the way he described the problems that they were having, it just sounded like a disaster.
Yeah.
Well,
it was
fourth or fifth place platform, isn't it, at the minute?
At the moment, yeah.
And I don't think the results. I think the results support that. Mercedes didn't qualify anywhere near Red Bull, and they were terrified by it because they thought they would be a lot better. But in the race, as good as Russell was, he was still that huge gap to Red Bull. And just, how far behind Verstappen and Perez did Russell finish? Yeah, he was fourth, but by a long way.
Well, we do have Chris Medland. I see he's connected. I don't know if there's his mic unmuting. How's it going, Chris? What's happening down there?
Not too bad. I'm just trying to get myself in one of those really annoying positions for the drivers where they leave the broadcast pen and head back to their motorhomes to see if anyone will be up for a chat. But
elbows out.
I don't think there's actually, there's not too many that are going to be delighted with today's and the way it panned out. I think if you look at the grid orders, so many would have thought they had good opportunities that didn't come together. There's a few good climbs to the field, wasn't there? I'm thinking of obviously Alpine did well in the end with both Alonso, but also Esteban Ocon with a very good drive.
Yeah.
Gasly getting himself into the points from the pit lane. We're going to have to find out what happened there to mean that he had to start from the pit lane. And Alex Albon holding on, getting that point, the Albon train that we had later on. So there's a few that will be happy, but I think most will see this as a big missed opportunity.
Yeah, no doubt. I was thinking about Sainz. I was thinking he had a good weekend, but he really didn't have a great that last lap where he was trying to really set it in qualifying yesterday. He really messed that up. And Leclerc not going to be happy where he ended up finishing. But well, gentlemen, let's go ahead and coming up, we got lots to talk about. Not only today's race, but there's been so much happen. Rule changes, engine. You name it. We got plenty to talk about. So stick with us. You're listening to Speed City. Back after this. All right, Gearheads, welcome to the show. We are going to break down this Formula One Belgian Grand Prix from Spa. This is John Massico. We got Les Kaiser, Jonathan Green, Dave O'Neill in the studio. We got Bob Varsha over Zoom, and we got Chris Medland over at Spa. And we watched Max Verstappen run away with this, as predicted, just looked crazy dominant. And his teammate right behind him, Sergio Perez. So they now extend their lead to, as you would call it, what, Jonathan? Insurmountable?
I would say so, yeah. It wasn't a classic, was it? Spa, we hope for, the start of it was
started great. The first 18 laps
wide.
Were great.
Losing Hamilton, don't know, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other whose fault it was. Alonso was clear on who he thought, but no love lost between those two.
And Hamilton admitted that it was his.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, he did. He did.
All right.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
And
he's
I
in his
agree.
blind spot, and he moved over and clipped him.
But no, it wasn't a classic. But in terms of a footnote in history, there's no question that Verstappen, has shown the world, if we didn't know already, that they both got the car and the driver to wipe the floor with the rest of the field, including his teammate.
I like this quote on YouTube. Doug says, famous quote about Brooks Robinson. Brooks played third base as if he came down from a higher league. Applies here. Verstappen drove like he came down from a higher formula today.
Yeah.
That's loving it. And we were just talking. This is going to be a pretty dominant season for
and it's the
Red
season
Bull,
he
so.
wanted, because let's face it. I mean, whatever you think about Abu Dhabi last year, that's not how Verstappen wanted to win the title. He wanted to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Good point. And while we're on the subject of penalties, I don't know how Carlos Sainz got away with that blocking maneuver on Charles Leclerc once Perez got the position away, and Leclerc counterattacked, and clearly Perez moved in the braking zone and didn't leave a car width. Leclerc had to get up on the curb and back out of it to avoid contact. I thought that deserved some kind of reprimand.
Yeah.
But not that it would have mattered much, but, let's be consistent. That's what the drivers are always asking from race control and the stewards.
It's a good point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, you know what we didn't see, guys? Dave O'Neill. We didn't see any. We haven't all weekend. We kept hearing all about. I mean, how many times have we said the word porpoising this year? We got to change the rules. We got to change the rules. If we change the rules, then Red Bull's going to get hurt by it. Well, they changed the rules. We heard nothing, unless I missed it. We didn't hear any rule infringements, and then Red Bull's gotten even faster. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean they played the advantage there, but yeah, didn't hear any of it today on the drivers talking about it.
Or all weekend, even.
All
right?
weekend, yeah. Yeah, there's some advantages had.
So they cured it, do you think, then, because of that? What you said, but the rule that they've instigated, the millimeters, the 10 millimeter here or there?
I don't know if they've. I think the teams have all just kind of figured it out, but I kind of lost track of everything that they've done in these rules. Bob, do you have your head wrapped around everything that they've done? I know you're Mr. Research.
Well, I can't say I have my head wrapped around everything. I'm the guy among those who were saying that this was a problem that didn't need a rule solution because the teams were working on it. I don't know how many teams have made big modifications to their car to comply with the rule. Obviously, they've got to go to the 10 millimeter raising of the floor. But and even though I saw particularly Ferrari having a certain amount of porpoising, which is the aerodynamic oscillation, bouncing is when it actually hits the track, and that's what the FIA is most concerned about because it potentially can hurt the drivers. I think it's going to become a non-issue at this point.
Well, it was supposed to bring Mercedes back into the fray, wasn't it? I mean, that was
there
the
are
fear.
no silver bullets.
No, but that was what
Yeah.
at the time Red Bull was saying and Ferrari was saying, hey, don't change the rules. You're just playing to Mercedes.
Right.
But
Gee, why would they say that?
Yeah, exactly. But it hasn't, has it?
No, it hasn't, and clearly with Mercedes performing all weekend. But yeah, I don't. I like what you said, Bob, because I was with you in that camp. Is that I didn't think this was even necessary. Yes, let's have a safety rule if they're violating the G-force / oscillation ratio. Let's do something about it. But let's don't give teams advantages.
The head wobble factor is the layman's term.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there should be a safety thing. If you're going to shake the driver's brains apart, then let's not have that. But yeah. By the way, guys, we're going to talk about a lot of things. We've got a full hour here, and we're going to talk about the Audi. We're going to talk about Porsche. We're going to talk about the new engines. We're going to talk a little bit about Ricardo. We touched on that in the pre-show. The new Andretti global headquarters. There is a ton to talk about besides this race, but there was plenty to talk about in the race today. We had, in my notes, Max finally took the lead at lap 12. Which, Jonathan, you predicted lap 10 before the start of the race.
Yeah. He was third by lap 8.
Jeez. He took it again, and for once and for all, at lap 18. So it was pretty stunning. Les, I saw you scribbling notes about Ocon passing 2 cars twice.
Yeah.
3 wide at one
Loved
point.
it. I loved it. Yeah, Ocon was on
That
it
was
today.
exciting.
Yeah, it was.
Now, as far as, we were giving our predictions, what I thought was so cool was we heard Ferrari at lap 19 predicting a 5th place finish, which would have done had Leclerc not found his speed in the pit lane, but they called that. And it was so early, like I said, 19th out of 40 some odd laps. And that's when they start saying it. The other, there were several things that were kind of surprising was some of the pit stops, how early they were going in and forcing a two-stop strategy.
How early? Yeah.
I tell you what the comparison to make is, right? We've been talking about Ferrari and the mistakes they make and all the rest of it. There was no issue. There was no thought in anybody's mind, drivers and pundits like ourselves, that Red Bull were going to drop the ball. I don't think there was any question that once Red Bull, start on this vein and Verstappen's not getting involved in a crash or two, it's done, and it just shows you how bulletproof the team is.
Yeah. I think as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. And one thing you see about Red Bull, or compared to their rivals, is there's tremendous longevity, and you see this in all great racing teams. I think the management, the designers, the engineers, right down to the mechanics, and everybody on the team are there for a long time. They are made comfortable in their roles. They have all the tools they need to succeed. Everybody loves to be a part of a winner. So you don't see a lot of turnover from Red Bull.
It's because
someone gets.
It's because they can't get out of Milton Keynes because of the roundabouts.
All right, we're going to go out.
I'll take
now.
your word for it.
We're gonna go out to Chris because Chris has got Christian Horner. Go ahead, Chris.
Christian, you said to us before the race that it was going to be a tough afternoon. It was going to be difficult. You didn't want to say Max was in the frame for a win. Be honest with us. Did you see that result coming in such dominant fashion? I mean, he nearly won that race by 20 seconds.
No, to be honest with you, not. I mean, that's the most dominant that we've been this year. I think, to be honest with you, I have to look all the way back to 2010 or 2013 to get anywhere near that level of performance. But the team, the drivers, all the staff back in Milton Keynes, everybody's done their bit to have a performance like that, and it's a big day for the team.
Yeah, massive day. I mean, a 1-2 as well. But where did that performance come from? What have you done to unlock that sort of pace? I mean, there were reports over the summer of maybe a lighter chassis coming. Was that something to play?
No. I mean, to be honest with you, I think we had a new set of wing mirrors here. And that was it. I mean, obviously a lot was made of the technical directive coming into the weekend, but it certainly hasn't hindered us. So very happy with how the teams perform, how the car's performing, and it's important we just keep this momentum rolling.
Do you think that technical directive maybe hurt Ferrari and Mercedes somewhat to have this sort of gap, or do you think it was you getting things right?
I think that we've got things right. The car was in the window, and it certainly hasn't hampered our performance.
And then looking ahead to the rest of the season now, with this sort of performance, with this sort of a lead, I mean, you must feel very confident of securing both championships from here now.
Well, look, there's still a lot of racing to do. I mean, the championships are looking healthy, but a lot can change. We saw that earlier in the year, and so we're taking nothing for granted. Still 8 races, including a sprint to go, and we just go through them one by one.
Oh, well done, and thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Really good.
By the way, if you want to call and join the conversation, 512-643-5483. Welcome to see what you think of today's race or the season or anything else.
They just wanted to find out who was the fairest of them all, so they got new wing mirrors.
I wrote that down. It's like that's all they did.
No, but
Yeah.
okay. Remember
Well,
a couple of years.
they had aerodynamic extensions
Yeah.
underneath the wing mirrors. So
Clearly.
I mean, he was speaking truth, but he said something really ominous. He was recalling
Yeah.
20. Well, he
10
said
and
2010
13.
and 2013. He
I wrote
meant
that
2011 and 2013.
Yeah.
2 of Sebastian Vettel's championship years, when Vettel won 11 and 13 races respectively. And I think it was in 2013 where he won like 8 or 9 in a row. So here we have Max Verstappen winning his 3rd in a row. What happens next?
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Dave O'Neill, how much will those little wing mirrors cost? About as much as my road car?
Pretty much, yeah.
So let me ask Dave a question. What do you see in the setup at Red Bull that makes it so good? You are often been put in the position as you were at Haas to pick. You pick your team. You may not have had the budget that you wanted, but Red Bull do. So is there special sauce in terms of, we all know about Adrian Newey, but is there depth in that?
Well, I think it comes from the top as well. You have the security of all the staff, as we talked about yesterday. People don't tend to move that much when they get treated well and paid well. So the structure stays the same, and you can build on that. So you're not forever starting again and learning the same mistakes type thing. But the car today, if one corner to look in particular is going through a Rouge. It was absolutely nailed there. The dust coming off the plank. The car wasn't porpoising going up the hill or anything. It was in a different league.
Hey, well, we apparently Chris caught up with Ocon and sent us that. So let's hear from Chris Medland with Ocon right now.
Here's a man I really wanted to grab hold of, with Esteban Ocon, with a cracking drive through the field from 16th on the grid, I believe, up into the points. How fun was your afternoon?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, Chris. I think it's been mega. The car was performing extremely well from qualifying to really the race, and I could use that straight line speed that we had also, and I think 100% target accomplished this weekend.
You helped your teammate in qualifying as well, so you weren't maximising Saturday, and to finish right behind him, was this as good as you could have hoped for?
Yeah, I could have finished in front also, but I think it's good to maximize the points, as a team. Yesterday in qualifying, I went through the rounds with one set, so we didn't optimize at all the quali, but it was good enough to qualify fifth, and today, Fernando got fifth, which is probably where, we should have been. But altogether, it's been a mega weekend, and starting from cities, we're expecting 1 point, so to get 6 is quite a good thing.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of noise around the team over the last few weeks and months, so a lot of distractions. Just how strongly has the team responded? How proud are you of this sort of result in amongst all of that?
Very proud, because it shows to everyone that we are committed to the result, and whatever happens on the outside, me and Fernando and the race team, we are all pushing to get everything right. So that's how it should be, and that's what we are doing.
Well done today. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Man, Alpine's looking great, and Ocon in particular, both of them. They got a great team. It's not going to stay that way.
Well, I thought it was interesting. He made a comment about the straight line speed of Alpine, and that's always a good for a racing driver and a team to say that their straight line speed is where it needs to be, because that's so often what you're chasing.
What you're saying is that the driver's like a fast car?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, hold on a minute. You kind of flew right by one topic right there. Yes, Alonso's leaving Alpine. Now the cakewalk game starts again. There's a seat in Alpine.
Yeah, the music's going to stop. Yeah. All right.
I wonder if Otmar Zafnauer is going to get a bouquet from Oscar Piastri's management team between now and the contract recognition board announcing its decision whenever that happens.
Well, it's starting to look less and less like the McLaren decision is this amazing thing.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we'll pick all of that up right after this. You're listening to Speed City. Back after this.
Hi, this is Max Verstappen, and you're listening to Speed City.
You're listening to Speed City F1 on SiriusXM.
CrowdStrike presents Driven in 60. Our digital world is more than just interconnected, it's interdependent. And because of that, security is a top concern for every organization. The Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One team knows they're a potential target for a host of digital attacks, which is why they leverage the CrowdStrike Falcon platform to deploy end-to-end security solutions. CrowdStrike revolutionized cybersecurity by harnessing the speed and power of the cloud to identify and stop the most sophisticated cyber attacks. Our cloud-native Falcon platform protects and defends organizations against increasingly complex threats, so you can have the peace of mind to focus on your business momentum, not what's trying to stop it. That's protection that powers you. To learn more and to try CrowdStrike Falcon free today, visit crowdstrike.com/XM. Thank you, CrowdStrike. They are a fantastic sponsor of all motorsports across. You'll see their name everywhere, and I am so I know George Kurtz, their CEO.
Well, he actually, George had a rough weekend at Road America, as I recall. I think he's fallen out of the points lead in GT America. So good luck to him the rest of the way picking that up. I think he's got VIR, COTA, I think, and then the 8 hours at Indianapolis.
We need to see if we can grab him for the booth for COTA. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. CEO of a publicly traded company. He's an awesome gearhead too. So
it's good stuff.
We have Chris Medland on the line, but Chris, I want to start with congratulations on your engagement, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You can tell the race was a bit dull, can't you? If we're bringing that up about within an hour of the race finishing.
Hey, so did any of the anybody in the paddock, anybody congratulate you?
Yeah, I've had a lot of them actually. It's been very, very nice. Lots of different kind of team members, and I actually got stopped on the grid by Daniel Ricciardo's trainer, Michael Italiano, to say congratulations. Just as Daniel's car was showing up, which I thought was bizarre. And I got a bottle of bubbly given to me by the Haas team.
Hey!
Another one promised by Alpine as well. Because I put my foot in it and joked to Alpine that I wasn't trying to play teams off each other, but I'd got this bottle of bubbly. And then
you don't tell the French that. You don't tell the French that.
Here's our gift to you, Chris. We're going to have our Detroit announcer add your name to the masthead at the top of the show.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Actually, yeah.
I don't know why we haven't done that. All right. We got to get a caller in. We got Joe in Florida. Hey, Joe. How's it going, man?
Hey, guys. Well, as a Ferrari fan, not so great.
Okay.
Tell us.
Hey, well, I want to say hi to Bob. Bob, this is Joe Costello. He used to come on my XM show like 10 years ago.
Yeah, Joe. How you doing, bud? Long time.
Long time. Super great. Happy about your health, all that stuff. But you know what? I'm like, every time I think Ferrari can't blow it, worse. Today they didn't have the pace, but they just renew my expectations. My goodness, they just can't get out of their own way. But I want to ask you, do you think they've just given up? Is this a fight for the constructors, trying to get second in the constructors from Mercedes? Like when you hear plan D, plan E, plan F, is that like, hey guys, we quit. We're trying to finish high enough in the points when Hamilton's out? Because, Bob used to always talk about how much money that constructor's title is worth.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I think, Joe, you just defined true love. Ferrari does what they do. They disappoint everybody, but they give you hope that they'll get it right next time. That's love right there. That's loyalty.
Oh, no, no, there's no hope. No, sorry. There's no hope.
Well, I was going to draw a comparison to marriage, but I guess I won't now.
No.
Don't do that either. It's just so sad. A lot of us, I do a little work on the NHRA side, as you may know, and we are Formula One fans. We love talking about the race beforehand, and then we go do our thing. And it's just, we all get together. It's crying foul right now. It's crying foul. Unless you're a Verstappen fan, you're beating their chest, the one guy. Everybody else is like, what the heck is going on? And we can't see through it. Like, how can this be happening over and over again?
Hey, Joe, where are you in Florida?
Hollywood, Florida.
Hollywood. Well, thanks, Joe. We appreciate it, man, and we appreciate you calling in and listening.
7 miles north of the Formula One track.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Can we come and stay at your house next year?
Next time.
Yes, Airbnb, baby. Come, take up my backyard.
All right.
We had such a great time. It was awesome. Hope to see you next year.
Oh, yeah.
All right, thanks, Joe.
Definitely.
Sounds like my golf game.
Bye-bye.
A whole lot of hope, a lot of crying, and just dejecting.
So why haven't we
never seen you play golf?
And that's why you're not invited.
Why aren't we putting Sainz and Leclerc on the silly season list?
Yeah.
Oh, they're well tied in.
Ooh.
What'd you say, Chris?
As silly as the silly season gets, I think there's a few zeros on the contract that comes from Ferrari that probably means they'll suck this up. But I know you guys probably talked about it before I could jump back on, but there's always something, isn't there? There's always something. And as small as it was, that pit stop with Leclerc and then putting him into a bit of trouble around Alonso, making him have to get past him. I mean, it nearly worked out okay. It gave him a tow in the end on the run to Les Combes on that final lap, but there was no guarantee of that. They put him at risk. And because they put him at risk, under pressure in that pit stop, he made a mistake and ends up losing the place anyway. I mean, it feels like every week, I can't, maybe Austria would have been the one where you went, they maximized it. But of course, the engine let Sainz down on that. But there's just always something. I feel for Joe on that front. I really do.
Chris, has Binotto, we've heard on this side of the pond that Binotto has said no changes at Ferrari over the summer. Have you guys been pushing him on that and, asking him why?
Yeah, that was a little bit of, should I say, clickbait headlining, because what he said is he felt that they didn't need to make personnel changes to improve things, but obviously they needed to change the way they worked. So it was less, it wasn't like everything's perfect, we carry on. It was just, we don't necessarily have to get rid of personnel to improve this team. So he kind of was saying, we do have the talent here, we're just not executing at the moment. So that was more his line of thinking. But of course that gets distilled down into a tweet headline, which, at the same time I write stories that also then get distilled down into Twitter posts, and people really simplify them, and that's what it got simplified to. So I don't think he's oblivious to the struggles.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, you think back to qualifying when they send Carlos out to tow Charles Leclerc, and Leclerc is put on new soft tires instead of putting him on the scuffs to save a set of tires for the race, but still get the tow and improve your qualifying position. And Leclerc comes on the radio and says, what's going on with these tires? And the engineer responds immediately, that's a mistake. Yeah. And then he comes around and he says, okay, I'm coming to the start-finish line. What are we going to do? Am I going to come in, pit, change tires? And they say, no, go ahead on the lap.
Yeah.
Well, we have a gentleman who's been in the thick of all this, Dave, former Haas F1 team manager. I mean, what do you think's going on here, Dave? I mean, it just seems insane to all of us mortals.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be fair, you do have to sort of go to each problem and then understand what's gone on there. But of course, when you get multitudes of problems, you need to understand who's giving the orders as well. But the wrong tires being put on is literally a button pushed. So the tires are all stacked up in the garage, and then the engineer will push a button to say set 1, 4, 5, 3 or whatever, and he obviously pushed the wrong button. They collected the tires, put them on the car, and the rest was history.
I mean, it's Formula One. You should have like missile launches. Before that button gets pushed, there's another person looking or something.
But David, I mean, you're being nice almost. Yes, there's a button to be pushed, but he was there to give him a tow. I mean, you could send him out on square wheels. You should be all aware that that's what the plan is. We're going to help the other driver. Yeah. You don't need fresh tires.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, don't forget actually the cost of that, because not only did he only then have one set of new softs, which he started the race on, when he wanted to fit softs for the fastest lap at the end of the race, he had to use used softs, and he didn't get the fastest lap of the race. So that actually did cost them an even better chance of getting that fastest lap point in the end, the way it played out. Because he played it down yesterday, but today you see a knock-on effect of it.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Dave, I got a question for you. In your experience, and you may not be able to answer this, but do all the teams generally have the same chain of command, or everybody do it differently as to who the guy makes which decision?
Yeah, good question. I think certainly the smaller teams, there's less people in the row, so the communication seems to be better. And then of course the bigger teams, they have more people in command. And again, to make a quick decision, it ends up not being a quick decision because you have to get agreement along the line. So I guess a quick answer to your question, Bob, would be that every team's slightly different with trying to achieve the end result. But of course, Ferrari, they definitely have a couple of other people in the mix before they can get the decision made. It would normally be, for example, it would be the strategist and the chief engineer that would make the decision on that side. So the strategist wouldn't make the decision; he'd offer the options to the chief engineer in this case, and then the chief engineer would instruct either of the engineers to make the decision.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fascinating process. I'd love to know more about that.
Looks like we have another caller. We'll try to squeeze him in before we got to take a break. We have James. Hey, James, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. Oh, this is Track Marshal James. How's it going? Are you in Austin or are you?
I am in Belgium.
Belgium. I thought
yeah.
that's what Les said. Yeah.
How was it?
It was good. I wasn't at the race today because it was really, but I was yesterday.
Okay.
So what was the atmosphere like yesterday? I mean, even
That was
so.
good. Yeah, people were pretty excited. Lots of Max fans, of course. And there was a smell in the air that I wasn't expecting. It was kind of like a match that was just lit. And that kind of accompanied something
Flares.
Yeah. All the orange flares.
Yeah, flares.
What is
Flares.
that?
I know, it seems ironic. They're in the middle of a forest of the Ardennes and they're lighting flares.
Or were you talking about another smell, actually?
No, it was the flares.
Okay. I didn't know what
You know, the orange flares.
Just,
Yes, sir.
I thought you were talking about the hygiene of the fans. But
Oh, gee.
what- this, I suppose we can go to the internet and find this out. What were the ticket prices like that turned you away?
I was seeing 400 to 600
for general admission.
euros, but pretty much $1. Yeah. Yep.
Well,
And
apparently
yesterday it was 100 for a seat. So
there was 360,000 people there today. So
Wow.
I don't know how many.
No,
if that's-
that was 3 days.
Yeah,
3 days.
yeah. Over 3 days.
James, was that on your bucket list then, going to Spa?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And where else do you want to go?
Oh, going to Melbourne would be awesome. I
Yeah.
lived in New Zealand for 8 years, so that'd be easy to pair that with a trip. Yeah, that wouldn't come straight to mind.
Yeah, Melbourne's
If you're
great.
listening to this, is Spa not on your? I mean, it has to be
Yeah,
your bucket list if you're listening.
Spa,
to this.
Monaco. Yeah.
Melbourne, I agree
Let me
with.
ask you, where were you sitting or standing?
At the base of Eau Rouge.
Yeah.
Right across from the tower.
Fact.
You have to at least
Excellent.
start there for sure.
Yeah.
Get
Beautiful.
some mayonnaise, fries in you, hang out.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Quick
actually had a
getaway.
Filipino
Well, there are no
food.
quick getaways from Spa, but
Yeah,
there it is.
but yeah, gorgeous.
Where else have you
I
been?
mean,
Have you been to Monza? Have you been to
I've
Montreal
walked the track
or
at
Monaco?
Monza, just while walking. Oh, not Monza. Sorry, Monaco. I worked on a super yacht, and we visited Monaco, so I walked around the track. But it was pre-Formula One. Well,
Flexing.
it wasn't when Formula One was on.
Cool.
Man, you have
yeah,
got
that's that.
don't put your phone number on the air. You'd have so many calls from pretty girls who want to travel with you at all these places. Working on a super yacht? Yeah. Sounds okay.
Yeah,
In Monaco.
We do have an opening for sailing in Greece next week. Or sorry, this 17.
I know. I already turned it down. I couldn't do it. Dang it.
Supermodels love to go on super yachts, so there you go, James.
Oh man.
Oh, the lines are lighting up.
Mayhem.
Touche.
There's a regular listener.
Enjoy it while you're young.
Thanks for calling in, James, and enjoy your time over there.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Thanks, James.
All right, gentlemen,
Cheers.
coming up after this, we're going to see who else Chris Medland can rustle up over there with his microphone, and we'll have lots more to talk about after this.
Hello to everyone, this is Guenther Steiner, this is Speed City.
You're listening to Speed City F1 on SiriusXM.
The Speed City F1 post-race show on SiriusXM is brought to you by CrowdStrike. Stop today's most sophisticated cyber attacks at the office, the racetrack, and everywhere in between. Learn more at crowdstrike.com/XM. Don't forget the XM. Guenther brought us back, but Chris Medland just caught up with Guenther Steiner. Let's hear that.
Guenther, that looked like a tough day at the office. How do you sum that one up?
Yeah, tough day. As you just said, it was a tough day. I mean, we know that on this specific tracks, high speed, where you need low drag configuration, it's not our car is not good at this one. So we braced ourselves a little bit, but it's always disappointing when you end up like this. So we now look forward to Zandvoort, where hopefully we should be better.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you got a power unit penalty out the way at least, and both cars have the upgrade. So next weekend, one with a lot more optimism.
Yeah, I mean, it cannot get worse than this, no. But Zandvoort, if I look what we did in Austria and in Silverstone, Zandvoort as well has got medium and high-speed corners where our car should be okay.
Yeah, and just as we look at things off track, silly season's in full flow. You've got at least one seat still available. I mean, where Where are you? What's the latest? How involved are you in the whole silly season picture?
We haven't made a decision. I mean, this is work to be done. We will decide in the next weeks, months, and we are in no hurry to make any decisions yet.
And how long's your list of drivers that could end up driving your car? Because Otmar Zafnauer said he's got 14 on his.
Wow. I mean, I cannot beat him on that one. You know, I don't know who he puts on there.
Okay, well, good. We'll see you next week. Thank you very much.
Dave O'Neill, when Guenther's voice hit, you just couldn't help but smile. I know he's a good friend, isn't he, of yours?
Yeah. He's good friend, good work colleague, I guess. But yeah, he's interesting every minute of the day.
Yeah, so. I'll bet.
Did you hear the nose twitch?
I was going to say there was suddenly no nose twitch with the 14 drivers. So I think he was being honest that he has fewer than 14 on his list.
You're onto it, Dave. You're right.
The way I interpret what he's doing is he's fishing. He's basically realizes that it's a robust market. He's got a good driver in Schumacher. There's nothing wrong. You're not a fan. I was listening to Julian Palmer. He says he's done nothing wrong since Baku, and he's been on a level with Magnussen. And so I would say that going into the next season, Haas aren't going to be, thwarted by anything. But I don't know. He's definitely fishing, isn't he?
He's fishing. He's keeping his options open. He's saying exactly the same thing every time, and he always is typically the last to do the signings. You know, it's always October time.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a strategy?
I don't know if it's a strategy.
Is it just a scrap?
Can't have been with Magnussen. He was already busy in IMSA race when he got the call.
Yeah. I mean, unless you have bundles of cash, you can't be at the front of the queue.
No.
So
Right.
I think, waiting for the best one to drop is probably the scenario.
Be in charge of the music if it's music of chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, boys, I'll show this to the crowd on YouTube if they can see the camera. I wrote down tickets. Let's give away. We have some tickets. We're going to start giving away some tickets probably every show between now and COTA. We have some tickets to
Tickets
COTA.
to what?
Well,
yeah.
Give me a second, Mr. Varsha.
A circus.
I'm going to give away a pair of tickets to the Formula One United States Grand Prix right here at Circuit of the Americas. And you cannot buy these because every time they put a ticket for sale, it sells out. They sold out the
Willy
new
Wonka.
Yeah. They had the new
Golden
6,000 seat infield grandstand that they announced, and they put them up for sale last week. And
that's a spot.
Yeah, that's a great. You and I stood out there,
and we got photos.
And we got some photos, and I put those out somewhere on a YouTube channel. Or anyway, but we're going to give away a pair of tickets, not in those grandstands. They're just some GA tickets, but
which is still awesome.
Yep. Yeah. So if you're listening, watching, whatever, how are we going to do it, boys? We'll figure it out in the next few minutes how we're going to give those tickets away. But
Saturday only, yeah.
No,
it's a good walking track.
So are we asking a question like, if you could solve Ferrari's problems in less than 60 words?
Well, how about the next three in the next race?
Ooh, I like it. Zandvoort 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Although I think
pole
mathematically,
as well.
I think I heard coming into today, Chris, was it you saying this on our Wednesday show that I was thinking that you had to win, that somebody would have had to, that Leclerc would have had to win all the way out to catch Verstappen? Was that right? Was that you, Chris?
It wasn't me, but it sounds about right. We were doing the maths during that race today up in the media center because, let's be honest, there was a big old spell where you could have done whatever you wanted. And we think the first race he can win it and realistically could win it is Singapore. So we're talking three races time. He currently leads, what is it, 92 over Perez, or maybe 93? Yeah. And he needs to open up to 138 by the end of Singapore. So, okay, you've got to factor in both Perez and Leclerc probably have to stumble a little, but the form Verstappen's in, you could see him doing it. So, we could well leave Monza saying Verstappen can win it at the next race.
Wow. Yep. He could be world champion by the time we get to COTA.
Sorry, I was just checking.
What's
checking YouTube comments, and there's a bunch of adult dating site spam. I'm trying to get rid of them.
Maybe they're new sponsors. Check, see if they're contracted.
What were you going to say, Jonathan?
I don't know what to say after that.
What's the?
Someone mentioned. Can I just bring up? Someone mentioned new sponsors, and after what Dave was just saying about drivers and Haas, but Haas did announce a new sponsor this past week.
Yeah,
and they made a point in the press release of saying it was a multi-million-dollar deal, and that it sounds like there's more to come later this year. So I think they're starting to get into a position where they paid Magnussen. They don't need to pay driver more. If they want to, they can pay any driver who's available. And Guenther said on Thursday, they're looking for the best driver available, not someone who necessarily has a commercial package. They said that's great if they do, but we don't need that now. We just want the best driver that fits our team. So, I feel like they've got a bit more muscle this year than they've had for a few years.
How do you feel about my theory that Ricciardo is looking towards his future, and I think his future's in America, and saddling up next to Gene Haas, who has a NASCAR team and is mates with Tony Stewart, who I think Ricciardo would get on with. Is that too far-fetched?
It's not too far-fetched. I think it's what Daniel's angling for. I think that, I know that Guenther has spoken to Daniel from weeks ago. He dropped him a message to find out if he was going to be on the market, if he was available. So those talks must have continued since. So I think, Ricciardo's very much on Haas's radar. Haas will be on Ricciardo's radar. I still think Ricciardo would rather go into the Alpine and try and kind of muscle his way back ahead of McLaren and say, look, you made a mistake. Because he performed well there, didn't he, when it was Renault? He did outperform Hülkenberg and Ocon and was strong. So
he is a Renault guy.
Being his preference. He is, yeah. But then if you go off the back of that to, okay, what's your next best option? That's where I think, that theory does make sense, especially if Haas can show growth and more income and more investment, because it's one of the things I know annoys the team, that off the back of the Mazepin situation, people thought they were financially in trouble. But you guys know how wealthy Gene Haas is.
Yeah.
Like, that team was always going to be supported if it needed it. There's the business model they have and how they wanted to bring their money in. We're never going to be trouble in that sense, because if Gene needed to and he saw the financial kind of security in it, which F1 provides right now, it's booming, he would fill any shortfalls. So they've never been in trouble. And I think now they want to say, actually, we're growing, we're getting stronger. So if that sort of message gets to someone like Daniel Ricciardo, I think he would seriously consider it.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, this new sponsor is a company called Handtech. They're a publicly traded on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So you're right. This is a big, big company that they're bringing. You said multi-million-dollar. So I mean, do we know all the details? Are they going to be like a title sponsor or what? Do we know?
No, not a title sponsor. They're just going to be a partner that's come on board now, so they can come on board immediately. In a sense, they're quite small. I mean, Haas had to give away quite a lot of kind of real estate on their car and on their kit to the few sponsors that they had over last year and heading into this year. But now, with the way the market is and what you can charge, they're kind of balancing or rebalancing that situation. And certain sponsors might disappear because they're not paying a lot for a big slot, but then other sponsors are now paying a lot for smaller slots. People want to be part of F1. So, I'm hearing rumors that there's title partnership talks going on for next year as well. And I imagine they've got loads of interest on that front. With what happened after Uralkali now having a vacancy for a title sponsor, I think they've got a couple of irons in the fire on that front. I would not be surprised to hear that announced before the end of the year. Partly again to kind of show other partners and drivers where that team is kind of expanding.
Yeah.
Where's this team based? What's
Hong
the
Kong.
nationality of the
Hong
team?
Kong.
Well, it doesn't mean that's where they're. It's a Chinese team, Chinese company.
Yes, I believe.
Okay.
Makes sense. Well, there was an article by Calvin Lowe recently saying that there's a lot of liquidity in Asia that needs to be spent, and so there's a lot more people looking at mid-level Formula One teams.
Right, but just because it's listed on the Hong Kong exchange doesn't mean it's a Hong Kong company.
I was on their website literally just now.
Is it HAN?
They were founded in Hong Kong in 1990.
Yeah.
HANTEC. Yeah, Handtech.
Handtech. Okay.
But and you know what? This is a good time. I've got a little graphic I want a producer to throw up because it's really
been working Excel again.
No. This was actually provided by the guys at Spa-Motion, and it's talking about the number of Formula One partners that we talked about in the offseason in one of our regular local shows, where Haas F1 is they have the least amount of sponsors in Formula One still. So they have 15, AlphaTauri 16. Surprising, Mercedes at 24, but McLaren by far the biggest at 49. And it's a fascinating. We got a podcast on YouTube and our podcast platform too that talks all about these. But it's really fascinating to see all these new sponsors coming into Formula One. And
Alfa Romeo can't be far off that either, can they? They must have close to the McLaren number.
They're second.
They're
second.
There you go. Yeah, they keep an eye on them. And one thing I do know though is we're calling them Alfa Romeo, and we'll be calling them Audi by 2026. But Alfa Romeo announced about 2 hours after the Audi press conference that they will not be continuing with Sauber beyond 2023, beyond the end of next season. Having only a couple of months ago, I think last month, confirmed they were sticking with them for next year. And it seemed to be very much two fingers up to the announcement from Audi, even though that didn't mention Sauber. It was an open secret that that's where they're going to end up. And it caught the team here kind of off guard. They weren't expecting it to be put out like that, or that statement to come. And it was a bit of a sour grapes from Alfa Romeo, the car brand. So as good as it's been, that was one little downer they had this weekend.
Yeah, and Chris, your instincts are spot on, because in this graphic, we also show how many new sponsors. Alfa Romeo, by far, the most new sponsors with 28. McLaren second with 20. And anybody want to take a guess who had the least new sponsors this year?
Williams.
Williams is not, no, actually, no.
Haas.
Mercedes.
Whoa.
Mercedes and Aston Martin.
Yeah. Oh. Mercedes with only 2 new sponsors. Aston Martin with 3. Williams had 6. Haas had 6 now with Handtech. So Haas is moving up a little bit. So, yeah. But, yeah, Chris, you're right
everything depends. Everything depends on what you're asking, too. You know, a deal goes sour because someone asked the moon, or you can pick up a lot of little sponsors if they're, paying very little.
Hey, Dave O'Neill just spotted on the Handtech website their head office is Korea at Handtech. So, Bob, yeah.
Okay. No, there you go.
Yeah, founded in Hong Kong and now currently based in Korea. All right, gentlemen, we have some more things that we want to touch on. There's going to be some interesting topics, so stick with us after the break.
Hi, this is Jeff Gordon, and you're listening to Speed City.
You're listening to Speed City F1 on SiriusXM.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon, bringing us back. I like that. All right, we said we were going to give away some tickets, so somebody had the idea during the break. The next person that calls in and sponsors the Speed City show is our new ticket winner.
There you go.
No.
Uh-oh.
All right, I'm going to give out the number, 512-643-5483 to win tickets. 512-643-LIVE.
And that includes Green Day and Ed Sheeran.
That's right. 2 concerts. What are they, Saturday and Sunday nights now?
Friday and Saturdays, I believe.
Oh, it's Friday and Saturday. That's right. I knew they had a Saturday night concert.
By the way, I went down the new road, and so did you.
Yes.
New road, very good.
Into the track.
Yeah, coming out of the track, actually. It's the back entrance, but it's now basically a 4-lane highway, and there's 4 roads in, 4 lanes in, 4 lanes out, and you could have both the traffic going out at the end of the race. So
it's
those days, it is a huge upgrade.
It's a huge upgrade. I mean, Elroy Road on the north side of Coda that cuts out to the to 45, the big tollway.
Yep.
That road was 2 lanes, and calling it 2 lanes was a bit of a give because that road was miserable. I mean, there was no cheating,
old
like
farm to market road.
There was no shoulder or anything. Now you've got 5 full lanes and maybe even shoulders. So, like you're saying, Jonathan, we're out there. We just switch it to 5 lanes on all inbound before the race and 5 lanes outbound after the race.
That's going to be good for concerts too.
And
Well, that doesn't affect us because we go in by helicopter, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, Bob. The jet's going to pick you up on Wednesday at your private airport there, and then we'll fly you in and helicopter you into the.
And I'll clean the pool, make sure it's all right.
We have a few callers calling in for those tickets.
I'll bet.
Boom.
Let's
hear their topics.
Drum roll. Who was first? Katie from Iowa. Katie, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. How are you listening / watching?
I'm listening on SiriusXM in my car.
Yeah. What are you driving?
Yeah. Driving in Iowa, driving a Jeep.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Good girl.
Hey, that counts. That counts. It's a cool car.
Have you got time in October to come and visit us?
Absolutely, I do.
There you go.
Now,
have you been?
With that? Sorry, go ahead.
Careful.
No, I like her enthusiasm.
Exactly what I was thinking.
I was thinking Jonathan's enthusiasm.
Are you talking about a spot at your place? Or?
No!
Got to keep this clear.
Have you been to the USGP or any Formula One race?
I haven't. I've been trying to get tickets for a while, and I kind of gave up. But I've wanted to go so bad. I'm a huge huge Max fan and Red Bull Racing fan.
This is the season to be merry.
It
Times
really
are tough, aren't
is.
they? Times are tough.
Well, how long have you been a fan? Are you a Drive to Survive newbie, or are you a longtime fan?
Kind of a Drive to Survive newbie, but I watched when I was growing up, and then had a little gap there, and then in the pandemic, Drive to Survive really got me back into it.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
And the W Series is also coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Katie, hang on the line. We'll get all your info, and congrats, and we'll see you in October.
Thank you so much.
Come on down.
There you go.
All right, we're going to take some more calls. I'm going to give away some swag to the next callers. We got Dylan in Nashville. Hey, Dylan, how's it going, buddy?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Good. Well, we gave away the tickets, but you dutifully called in. You missed Katie by about 15 seconds. She beat you, but I'm going to give you some swag. But what'd you think of the race today?
I thought it was great. I mean, I could only listen in. We are currently driving back to Nashville from the Cincinnati area, so caught it on your guys' show.
Did you go to the Nashville Grand Prix?
No, yeah, we did. The Music City Grand Prix is our first year. We'd only been out there about 8 months, but we're happy to catch that one.
Yeah, it's good. And I think it's got a big.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, Dylan,
You like safety cars?
Yeah.
yeah, we were right on turn 1 too. That little chicane there.
Yeah,
it was a good spot for some action.
I'll bet.
Hey, Dylan, who's your favorite driver / team?
Ferrari fan. Little bit sadder today, but
We'll send you some tissues to cry about it.
Yeah, thank you. I need them.
Well, Dylan, hang on the line, and we'll get your info, and we're going to send you some Ferrari swag. How about that?
That sounds awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks for listening.
Thanks, Dylan.
All right, we got one or two more that we can get time for. Mark in St. Louis. Hey, Mark, how's it going?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
How's it going, man?
It's going well. Well, I'm also a Ferrari and Charles Leclerc fan, so I'm a little disappointed, but, excited. It's been a fun season so far.
It has been a fun season. I think they've got a lot right with the rules.
Yeah. No, it's been very interesting, and we created a little fantasy league of our own with some coworkers, and so, my first pick was Charles Leclerc, and he's done well so far.
Nice. Are you a longtime fan or Drive to
I'm
Survive?
a long-time racing fan, but I'm new to F1. Really, I'm a Drive to Survive newbie as well. So, but used to go to dirt tracks when I was a little kid, and so I've always loved racing.
All right. Well, Mark, thank you for listening, tuning in. Hang on the line, and we'll get your info and send you some Ferrari swag.
Thanks for the show, guys. It's been great.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
That's what Formula One needs, is a couple of dirt tracks on the schedule.
You're talking. Hey, they did Austin. Remember that?
Yeah. Watch Carlos Sainz drive then.
Yeah. All right, we got one more caller. We got time for. So let's go to Kenny out in California. Hey, Kenny.
Hey, guys. Hey, first of all, I want to tell you it's really great to have you guys on the radio so we can have something after the race to be able to really catch up on. You guys do a great job. That's first of all.
Thank you, Kenny. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, I think you're going to get a lot more viewership here or listenership here as you grow. But my question is about drivers' pay and principals' pay. I know the drivers get a contract. What's the average pay a principal of the team gets? And do drivers get when they win a race, is there a purse that's split between the top three, or is that not how it works?
That's for you, Dave.
No, that's go ahead, Dave, about team principal pay.
Yeah, I can. So very different, very, very different. And typically, round about the million mark, I say, and rising. You go from the bottom to the top, maybe 10 million for someone like Wolf, etc. But yeah, I think there's a great variant. On the other two questions, I think Bob's probably better advised on those.
What are you going to say, Bob?
Well, basically, no, there is not a per race prize. That's all settled at the end of the year based on a very complicated formula. Half of the prize money for the year, which is substantial, a couple of $1 billion, Half of it is divided into 10 equal shares, and every team gets an equal share. The other half is divided up according to performance. So the champion team gets a lot more than the last placed team. But their entry fee is also a lot larger as well. So there's a lot of money involved. You know, when you hear about big purses at the Indy 500 and Daytona 500 and something, that's a small fraction of what it is in Formula One if you divided all of the races into the prize purse. And the drivers get none of it. It's you win the Drivers' World Championship and you get a let's call it an interesting looking trophy and a warm handshake. But all of the money goes to the constructors based on their performance, which is why the performance of both cars in a team is critical, and which is why it's often nonsense when one driver thinks the other driver's getting better equipment, because you need both cars to score.
All right, we have one caller. We have almost no time, but she has a question. Amanda, what's your question?
Hi, I'm calling from Louisville, Kentucky. I'm new to F1 via Netflix, of course. I was curious on your all's thoughts when they were asking Leclerc's opinion on the tires. Do you think that's a PR move to where they can't just blame the strategy team, but now they want to put some onus on the driver as well?
No. Basically, Amanda, you've just hit the gun moment of this weekend, which is Ferrari washing their laundry in public, as we say in England.
Yeah. Well, Amanda, thanks. We were out of time, but thanks for calling and thanks for listening, and welcome to a new fan. All right, gentlemen, we are almost out of time. I want to thank everybody who listened, called in. And you know what? I want to say something to the gentleman who said, thanks for having this post-race show.
Yeah.
And we are the people that made this happen. We approached Sirius and Formula One and everybody else and said, let's make this post-race show happen. They didn't come to us. We came to them and said, we want in the door. We want in the door. So
yeah,
anyway.
no, good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Very good point.
But thanks, everybody. Hey, we got back to back to back, so we'll be doing this next Sunday. Woohoo! Thanks, everybody. Thanks,
Happy Sunday.
Chris Medland, Bob Varsha calling in, Dave O'Neill coming in studio. Thanks, everybody.
Happy trails.
Ciao, y'all.
See you all next week.